My friend Harold reached out to request a video. Harold said that I keep on talking about Hamas as Maoist. Hamas is the terrorist group that is the de facto government of Gaza. They're Islamists. They are the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, and they are not communists. Mao Zedong is fairly well known to have been a communist, and Maoism is a variety of Marxism-Leninism. So why, asks Harold, do I persist in referring to Hamas as Maoist? So Mao Zedong, communism aside, had a theory of revolutionary warfare. It's not really communism aside, it is fully integrated with Mao's idea of communist revolution. So Mao says you can't just have a revolution, you can't just have a war. You've got to do it deliberately. You've got to do it slowly over decades. And most important, you do it methodically. So Mao's method says you start out at phase 1. You build an organization. You build discipline within the organization so that your doctrine is sound, so that the organization keeps focused on a particular kind of revolution and a particular set of aims. You've got to have discipline to stop people from dissenting, to stop people from pushing the revolution in the wrong direction. You build support from the people you intend to serve. You find out what their needs are and you meet them. You build sympathy with the people who you want to support by meeting their needs. You educate people, not just people within your organization, but you educate the population that you're seeking to empower with your revolution. And when you have achieved a certain level of readiness, when you've created the cell structure that will give you organization and security, when you have created the discipline, the organization, the logistics, you're ready to go from phase 1 to phase 2. Phase 2, you demonstrate potency. You demonstrate that you can succeed in conducting operations against the authorities. You can show that you can win in guerrilla warfare, not in grand war, not in open war. You show that you can score points off the authorities. You provoke the authorities, and you seek to provoke a repressive response so that the people you seek to serve are being pushed one way by the authorities, and you can relieve that pressure. You can offer to replace the authorities. To do that, you've got to show that you're competent. People will not support your revolution. They will not overthrow the government if that means that tomorrow there won't be public order. People won't support your revolution if your revolution means that tomorrow the garbage isn't being picked up. Tomorrow has to be attractive, and the revolutionaries have got to demonstrate that they are competent to deliver the tomorrow that people want. Last, when you're ready, when you're organized, when you have demonstrated discipline, competence, meeting people's needs, then you go to level 3, open civil war. Ho Chi Minh, the Vietnamese communist leader who adapted Mao Zedong's prescription to Vietnamese requirements, he called this general offensive, general uprising. General offensive meant that Ho Chi Minh's North Vietnamese regular army, the People's Army, would conduct a general offensive against South Vietnam. And the general uprising meant that the South Vietnamese communists, the Viet Cong as they were called by the Americans, would conduct the same operation at the same time. The general offensive, general uprising would overthrow the government of South Vietnam. And they tried it in 1968 and it didn't work. Mao Zedong has a prescription if it doesn't work. If you go to level 3, to civil war too early, you ratchet it down. You go down a couple of notches, you go to level 2 or level 1, you rebuild, and when you're ready, you try again. And Ho Chi Minh didn't live to see the unification of Vietnam using his version of Mao's methodology. But it happened. What has this got to do with Hamas? Hamas is formed during the Intifada, the first Intifada, in the late 1980s, the Palestinian uprising against the Israelis. Hamas was created as an Islamist organization, as the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood, but they're very clearly reading their Mao Zedong. In the beginning, they focused on organizing themselves and on meeting the needs, the unmet needs of Palestinian people. They focused in Gaza on providing things that the Palestinian Authority could not provide or would not provide. Primary education, primary health care. Hamas met people's needs and at the same time drew people into their organization, built the structures they would need. When the Israelis start to kill Hamas leadership a few years later, it becomes apparent that Hamas leadership is sufficiently resilient that just killing the head of Hamas or the deputy head of Hamas does not paralyze them. So they've done level 1 properly. Level 2, guerrilla warfare, attacking Israelis. In fact, by 2005, Hamas succeeded in causing the Israelis to pull out of the Gaza Strip entirely because the Israelis were degrading the combat capabilities of their armed forces. It was more than it was worth for the Israelis to continue to occupy the Gaza Strip. And in 2007, Hamas go to open war against the PLO, the Palestinian Authority, led by the Palestine Liberation Organization. And they win. Hamas takes control of the Gaza Strip in 2007. So Hamas then starts to organize to get the Israelis to disappear entirely. Hamas starts to attack Israel using rockets, and over the course of years, provokes Israeli response. This is not destroying Israel, because firing unguided, largely rockets from the Gaza Strip into Israeli towns is not going to cause Israel to cease to exist. But then, in 2023, Hamas conducted an attack designed to provoke Israel to enter Gaza on the ground, and designed to provoke Israel to try to fight a war on two fronts, to fight a war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip, while simultaneously fighting a war with Hezbollah in northern Israel. And that's not the way it worked out. Hamas prematurely went from level 2 to level 3, from the guerrilla warfare phase to the open civil war phase, or the open warfare phase. Over the last 2 years, we've seen that Hamas has taken a tremendous pounding at the hands of the Israeli armed forces, and because of the way Hamas configures itself, of course, the people of Palestine, who are not part of Hamas, have borne the brunt of that pounding. Hamas has gone back to level 1 or level 2, is rebuilding, is preparing to start conducting operations against Israel again. And in due course, we will see Hamas ratchet up to level 2 and ratchet up to level 3. Hamas follows Mao Zedong's methodology for revolutionary warfare. They're not communists, they're not Maoist communists. But using Mao Zedong's methodology is why I call Hamas a Maoist insurgency, a Maoist warfare machine. I clearly need to sort out my terminology. Thanks very much, and Harold, I hope that answers your question.